there. All right, so I wanted to throw these defensive numbers, and again, this is what Vic Fangio is going to be taking over. So in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
the Eagles had 70 sacks. Last year, they had 43 sacks. So they went from number 1 to middle of the pack at best. The Eagles had the number 2 overall defense in 2022. Last year, they were 26th. They were 30th in points, 31st against the pass, 10th against the run, and in some other key stats, they really lagged. They didn't take the ball away. Other things that are really critical to success. I wonder if he does. I would be very interested and curious to know if Fangio doesn't come in and say, "Hey, look, we really need better linebacker play here. We need to address this like ASAP, either free agency or what." I don't know. I know that he has typically had very good cover linebackers in the past, and he definitely doesn't have that right now.
Yeah. Ooh, wait. That may be a good thing though. Like as far as like you bring him in, linebackers have never been their thing in the past. So you bring him in, maybe he changes the narrative.
I agree.
Maybe that can be what they've been waiting for. Somebody who's going to finally prioritize the position and force the higher ups to really change their thoughts on it. Because for his scheme to work, he's going to need what he's going to need. Mm-hmm. So maybe things change.
Well, that's why I hope like he can convince them, because again, I didn't take that away yesterday. I feel like Howie's still set in the same, this is how we build the defense mode. That's one of the disappointing things of the press conference, which I want to circle back to that in a second, but that was one of the disappointing things for me. But I'm hoping that somebody like Fangio can convince him. Let's go back to it, because we talked about it right off the top of the show. And then we had Martin Frank on from the Delaware News Journal as well. But I don't know, man. I didn't feel as down and out as some other people. Like, I don't know what we expected. Like, they were going to go up there kind of humbled. They were going to go up there having to answer to certain things. And Nick is never going to become this great orator. He's just not. He's a guy who stumbles, and he's a diarrhea of the mouth, and he's, babbles at time to time. And I'm glad he's not in charge of the offense, frankly. But most people look at that and say, this guy's neutered. He's a puppet. This was terrible. The worst, blah, blah, blah. I don't feel that.
Well, people can't have it both ways, right? It's either you wanted his hands off the offense, or you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And either way, it was going to happen. Be it if they fired him or if they brought somebody in. So you can't have it both ways, right? It's okay. We complain that, he has no power, but we also complain that he has too much power over the offense and they're not producing. You can't have it both ways, okay?
Yeah.
Reality is, the dude is still the head coach. They're going to bring somebody in to help on the offensive side. It's going to take pressure off him. You're going to bring in some fresh ideas, and we're going to see how this thing pans out. When I really think, I guess for me, I'm trying to figure out, like, are they banking on Nick Sirianni? I'm trying to figure out how invested are they in Nick Sirianni's development to be a top tier head coach? Because it seems, that's if that's their vision, right? If their vision is to, okay, look, Nick, your first 3 years, you had some success, but clearly there's still some things you got to work out, right? Let's bring in some more experience around you, and let's continue to groom you and grow you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's what their mindset is? Because if that is the case, it's a possibility that he could be here beyond 2 or 3 years. You never know. We don't know at the end of the day. But overall, this structure, the way it is, it doesn't seem sustainable to me, but I think it just goes back to, what's your motive? What's your reasoning outside of what we already know? Are you trying to continue to develop Nick and groom him? Is that what you're doing right now? Because you want him to be here, and then maybe later down the line he becomes more self-assured. Maybe later down the line he becomes a better head coach. Just as players can improve, coaches can improve as well. They get a shorter lifespan to improve, and they're expected to come in right away and produce. But is that how they're looking at this thing, right? Are they trying to do what they couldn't do with Doug?
Right. And ultimately I can't answer that. Like there's
Right.
two things that I think we have to look at here. Is Nick here strictly because he was willing to agree to their concessions? Meaning, hey, we're bringing a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. You're going to be a CEO. You're not even, running the offense.
Also, did they bring him back under false pretenses? And what I mean by that is, did you bring him back just so you wouldn't look a certain way? Or did you bring him back because you generally feel like he can get better from this?
Yeah, I think that's one of them. And then the other part of it is, this ties into your point and my point. Is he here because they didn't want to bring in one of these big names who would want more power? Vrabel, Belichick, whatever. Some of the other guys who have been hired who maybe would be like, listen, I need the autonomy to. It's my call here with this stuff. This is not, me, you, Howie, and 5 other people sitting down and convening. Like this is it. So he may have survived for that reason because he's willing to be a team player and play ball with them.
Yeah,
and that's probably not great.
He literally did what he did what Doug wouldn't do. That's basically what it is. He did what Doug wouldn't do. Doug wouldn't fire certain people. Sirianni said, "All right, I'll fire those people."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. You have some people who say Nick Sirianni is the new Jason Garrett. I can't argue with their logic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all going to be wait and see. But as of right now, Nick Sirianni is not on stable ground, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely don't think he is either. I think he's
that man looked defeated.
Yeah.
They were so humble in that press conference. They looked like they were answering for something. You know how you called it to the principal's office. Nick just looked like he's just trying to go along to get along, man. That's what it looks like to me.
I agree with you. I think they both looked like they were dragged into the principal's office, and given the once over. And I'm sure Jeffrey Lurie did that to both of them, right?
Yeah.
I think it's that. And you're also only about 10 days or 10 days removed from your season ending in horrific fashion. So there's no way that you don't kind of slump in there with your tail tucked between your legs. There's no puffy chest out there. Like you just got smoked.
Yeah, so because he's heard the rumors. He knows that people want his head. He knows.
Well,
that.
He also said at one point, Tone, like I have to show them why they stuck with me. He kind of said that. Like I have to reprove, I think was the word that he used.
Yep, that was the word. Reprove
to them why I'm still here. So he knows, man. He knows what people are saying. Look, this is also a town, and I love it. It's not a knock, but that has no patience. The second this town thinks that you are not the person, they will shred you to pieces. And that's where the majority of people are.
The city smells fear like no other. They smell failure like no other. They smell incompetence like no other. Philadelphia is a very unique city in terms of sports. And Nick Sirianni, you better get with the program, my friend, because your clock has officially started ticking.
Mm-hmm.
Officially. The fact that you even came out and said it, that you got to reprove yourself, the hot seat, the temperature's rising.
Yes.
The temperature's rising.
Look, I think he's I don't think he's tone deaf, despite how he may come off in press conferences. He knows that if they don't get better, don't win this year, aren't a team that wins in the playoffs, not just gets to the playoffs, he's out.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of this, I think we talked about it, right? I may have talked about it with Bill earlier in the week. There's some that want to extend him. Absolutely, unequivocally, no chance. I'm extending him.
Yeah, no chance.
I don't care what. If he's got 2 years left, but even if he was in his last year, I don't care. So what? So you're on a hot seat. Yep, I want you on a hot seat. You need to know last year's not acceptable.
And also, if they bring in experience on both sides of the ball, they've already shown experience on the defense. They bring in experience on the offensive side. I'm telling you right now, if that team doesn't get off to the right start, I wouldn't be surprised if they fire him and elevate one of those guys interim.
My guess, just my guess. My guess is if things go south, in particular on the offensive side, he's gone. Whoever the offensive coordinator is gone. The only one who may survive it, well, I think Stoutland might. I don't know, but the defensive coordinator, they might stick around if they really love what Fangio did. But this will be a house cleaning. Like, we won't be having one of those press conferences. The press conference will be Howie and Jeffrey up there next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He'll be gone, and he knows it. He knows it. He knows the way it ended last year is unacceptable. Like, that wasn't just a little thing, Tone. It wasn't 2 games, 3 games.
No, it wasn't. That was a 7-game death
collapse. Yeah,
we were watching. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence fight. You know, from the very beginning of that fight, from the very beginning of that 7-game skid, we knew what it was. We knew what the outcome was already written. Body language.
Mm-hmm.
We knew Terrence Crawford had Errol Spence's number from round 1. It was very obvious that Errol Spence had no chance. It was very obvious the Philadelphia Eagles had no chance. We watched a slow death. We watched a slow ass whooping all year. And that's exactly what we got in that fight. That's exactly what we got by the Philadelphia Eagles in this final 7-game stretch.
Yeah. And you saw it coming and they survived it early. But eventually, when you're doing the things that they were doing, it'll get you. You can't turn the ball over like that. You can't, if you can't get on the field on 3rd down, you don't get to the quarterback. You don't take the ball away. You're going to start losing. You are. You're going to start losing. So
hanging on by a thread.
They were literally hanging on by a thread. And I think Howie tried to point out, I get it. He gave you the record, what it was before the skid, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to do if you exclude the skid, because the skid's the last thing on everybody's mind. You
know what I wanted to hear? I wanted to hear some real honesty. And what I mean by that is, look, yes, we were 10-1 at one point, and we ended up being 11-6, and the 6-game skid. But let's be honest about this, you guys. Things weren't right from the beginning, and we all knew it.
Yeah.
This was almost imminent. We tried to avoid it. We tried to make some moves, but things just were a slow burn, and we were kind of burning the candle at both ends here. That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear a little bit more honesty about the whole season, not just that 6-game skid. Because you let them tell it. Oh, we were 10-1. We were still one of the best teams in the league.
Right.
Okay, you can believe that. But we knew something was off with this team from the beginning.
Yeah.
We knew there was something off, and we just thought it would work itself out. It never did.
No question. No question about it. All right, we're going to come back. We're going to look at the Eagles' picks, Tone, what they have this year. They have 10 picks right now. Thanks to some compensatory picks.
They're going to need them.
Yeah. Well, so we'll dive into that. We'll do our usual NFL stuff. We'll actually look at the top 10. There was an interesting piece and a suggestion from somebody about what the Bears should do, and it kind of got me thinking about the top teams and where they might go here in the draft, and how many are going to go quarterback, how many are not. So we'll get into all those kind of things and when we come back. So don't go anywhere. That's Tone DeShields. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take. I'm going to tell you right now about Flynn Tree Services. They're an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. And they're just a quick phone call away, and they're experts trimming all types of trees. And they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. You go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's Flynn,